Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world. Archimedes. Archimedes' assertion encapsulates the principle of leverage, asserting that with the right tools and strategic application of force, even the most daunting challenges can be overcome. The lever symbolizes effective instruments or methodologies, while the fulcrum represents a pivotal point or foundational principle. Translating to problem solving, it suggests that with sufficient resources, intellect, technology, or information, and a critical point of influence or action, one can achieve seemingly impossible objectives. This statement underlines the importance of strategic planning and the power of innovation. In practice, it encourages the identification of optimal points of influence in any endeavor and the clever utilization of available resources to exert maximal impact. It teaches us that no obstacle is insurmountable with the right approach, reinforcing the significance of perspective, preparation, and the efficient use of tools at our disposal. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Socrates. Socrates' declaration serves as a hallmark of intellectual humility, recognizing the limitations of human knowledge. It's an admonition against the arrogance of certainty and an invitation to lifelong learning. Acknowledging one's own ignorance is the first step in the pursuit of knowledge, as it opens the mind to inquiry and discovery. This philosophy underpins the Socratic method, a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue that stimulates critical thinking and illuminates ideas. It prompts us to question our assumptions, challenges us to scrutinize our beliefs, and encourages an openness to new perspectives. From this standpoint, wisdom isn't an accumulation of facts, but an awareness of the complexity of the world and the modesty with which we should approach our understanding of it. It's a call to embrace the nuance and uncertainty inherent in the human experience, and to remain perpetually curious and adaptable in our quest for insight.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more valuable quotes from the legends.
He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. Jim Elliot. Jim Elliot's statement reflects a profound understanding of value and legacy. It suggests that relinquishing temporary, earthly possessions or status in exchange for eternal, spiritual rewards is an act of true wisdom, not foolishness. The paradox here is intentional. What seems foolish by worldly standards is wise from an eternal perspective. Eliot's words imply that material possessions and mortal life are transient and cannot be retained indefinitely. In contrast, virtues such as love, integrity, and the impact of our actions on others are enduring. Investing in what is imperishable, be it spiritual beliefs, moral principles, or selfless acts, yields a return that cannot be diminished or taken away. The quote challenges us to consider what we value most and to act accordingly. It serves as a powerful reminder to prioritize and invest in the aspects of life that have lasting significance. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein's remark on reality reflects his views on the nature of human experience and perception. The quote suggests that what we perceive as reality is subjective and constructed by our minds, influenced by our senses and interpretations. Despite its seemingly concrete nature, reality is malleable and not as fixed as it appears. Einstein's insight touches on philosophical concepts of reality that date back to Plato's allegory of the cave, where what is perceived is not the true form of things, but merely shadows cast by those forms. In modern physics, this idea resonates with the principles of quantum mechanics, where the act of observation affects the observed, and the nature of reality is probabilistic rather than deterministic. The statement, albeit a very persistent one, concedes that while reality may be an illusion, it is consistent and convincing, impacting our interactions and understanding of the universe. This persistence necessitates practical engagement with the world as we perceive it, even as we recognize the potential for deeper truths beneath the surface. In essence, Einstein challenges us to question the nature of reality and our experience of it, suggesting that there is more to the universe than our immediate perceptions convey. This encourages an openness to new ideas and discoveries that might reshape our understanding of the world around us. The young man knows the rules, but the old man knows the exceptions. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Sr. Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr.'s adage contrasts the rigidity of inexperience with the flexibility born of wisdom. It suggests that youth is often characterized by adherence to established norms and theoretical knowledge, while age brings an understanding of the subtleties and nuances that govern real-world situations. The rules symbolize the foundational principles or guidelines that are typically learned in the early stages of education or experience. They are essential for basic understanding and function as starting points. However, life's complexity often requires moving beyond these rules to navigate the gray areas effectively. The exceptions refer to the understanding that comes from years of experience, observation, and reflection. They embody the intricacies and variations that one learns to recognize and adapt to over time. The old man, therefore, is not bound merely by the letter of the law, but is guided by the spirit of understanding, the wisdom to know when an exception applies. This maxim teaches respect for the depth of experience and the value of pragmatism. It encourages a balance between learning the rules and being open to learning from experiences that sometimes contradict or expand upon those rules. By three methods we may learn wisdom: first, by reflection, which is noblest; second, by imitation, which is easiest; and third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Confucius. Confucius outlines a tripartite path to wisdom, highlighting different learning modalities, each with its distinct characteristics and value. 1. Reflection is deemed the noblest method. It involves introspection and the deliberate analysis of one's thoughts, actions, and their outcomes. This method requires discipline and the capacity to critically assess oneself, which is a noble endeavor because it is self-initiated and relies on one's inner moral compass. 2. Imitation is considered the easiest because it involves learning by following the examples set by others. This could range from mimicking behaviors of role models to adopting societal norms. It's a natural way to learn that requires less initial understanding and less risk, as one can rely on external templates of success or virtue. 3. Experience, on the other hand, is labeled the bitterest. It involves learning from the consequences of one's actions, which often means making mistakes and facing challenges. The trials and errors of personal experience can result in profound learning, but often come with difficulties and setbacks. These methods are not mutually exclusive and are often most effective in combination. Reflection deepens the lessons learned from imitation and experience, while experience can validate or challenge what one has reflected upon or imitated. Confucius's statement guides us to pursue wisdom through a balanced approach, valuing inner contemplation, learning from others, and embracing life's trials as opportunities for growth. It also emphasizes that the path to wisdom is not without its challenges, but each approach contributes to a deeper understanding of life and oneself. A little knowledge that acts is worth infinitely more than much knowledge that is idle. Khalil Gibran. Khalil Gibran's adage elevates action over passive knowledge. Knowledge, no matter its breadth, holds little value if it remains untapped. The key distinction here is between potential and kinetic knowledge, the former stored and unutilized, the latter active and applied. Action transforms abstract understanding into tangible results, embodying the principle that the utility of knowledge is realized through its application. This sentiment resonates with pragmatic philosophies that prioritize the practical over the theoretical. The underlying insight is a caution against the complacency that often accompanies the acquisition of knowledge. It is a call to harness even the smallest unit of understanding and put it into motion. The conclusion drawn here is that the measure of knowledge's worth is in its ability to effect change. The lesson is clear: prioritize actionable knowledge, for it has the power to influence and shape the world, whereas idle knowledge is merely potential, unfulfilled. Beware of false knowledge; it is more dangerous than ignorance. George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw's warning about false knowledge speaks to the perils of misinformation. False knowledge, unlike ignorance, masquerades as truth, leading to misguided beliefs and actions. While ignorance is an absence of information, false knowledge is the presence of erroneous information perceived as accurate. This distinction is critical because ignorance can be a neutral state, one that can be remedied through education. In contrast, false knowledge requires unlearning, which is a more complex process due to the cognitive biases that reinforce existing beliefs. The insight here is that false knowledge can lead to confidence without merit, creating a foundation for decisions that can have negative, far-reaching consequences. The conclusion is a call for vigilance in our pursuit of knowledge and a reminder of the responsibility to verify information before accepting and acting upon it. The lesson is to approach knowledge critically and be aware that misinformation can be a significant obstacle to personal and societal progress. For beautiful eyes, look for the good in others; for beautiful lips, speak only words of kindness; and for poise, walk with the knowledge that you are never alone. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn's quote reflects a philosophy where inner virtues manifest as outward beauty. She suggests that perceiving the good in others can transform the way we see the world and, in turn, affect how others perceive us. This approach to seeing goodness acts as a lens that shapes our interactions and expressions, giving us beautiful eyes. Speaking words of kindness aligns with the idea that our speech can influence our relationships and environment. Kind words contribute to a positive atmosphere and can leave a lasting impression, enhancing the speaker's perceived grace, hence, beautiful lips. Finally, poise is associated with self-assurance and composure, which Hepburn links to the recognition of one's inherent value and connectedness. The awareness that we are part of a larger community or are supported by a higher power provides a sense of security and confidence, enabling us to carry ourselves with dignity. The underlying message is that beauty stems from virtues such as positivity, kindness, and confidence. These attributes are within one's control and transcend physical appearance, offering a blueprint for living that fosters personal and social harmony. The lesson is to cultivate inner goodness, as it shapes our presence in the world and reinforces the interconnectedness of our experiences. I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done. Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball's statement champions the idea of active engagement with life's opportunities over the passivity of hesitation and fear of failure. It reflects a preference for a life lived boldly, with an emphasis on the value of experiences, even if they lead to mistakes, over the potential stagnation caused by inaction. The quote suggests that the act of doing, with all its risks, is intrinsically valuable. It implies that the lessons learned and the growth experienced from actions taken, even if they result in regret, are preferable to wondering what might have been. This philosophy encourages embracing the uncertainty and imperfection of life's ventures rather than succumbing to the paralysis of indecision. The insight here is that regret from inaction is often more lingering and unsettling than regret from actions taken, as the former is shrouded in endless possibilities and untested potential. The lesson is that embracing life's uncertainties, taking risks, and collecting experiences is a more fulfilling path than a cautious existence bounded by the fear of making mistakes. A man must be big enough to admit his mistakes, smart enough to profit from them, and strong enough to correct them. John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell's quote encapsulates a comprehensive approach to personal growth and accountability. It outlines a three-step process for handling mistakes. 1. Admission. Recognizing and acknowledging one's errors is the first step towards personal development. It requires humility and self-awareness, qualities that are critical for growth. Admission of mistakes goes against the defensive human instinct, thus making it a sign of character strength. 2. Learning. The intelligence aspect comes from extracting lessons from errors. It's not enough to merely acknowledge a mistake, one must analyze it to understand what went wrong and why. This step transforms a negative experience into a valuable learning opportunity. 3. Correction. The final step involves taking action to rectify the error, demonstrating resilience and commitment to improvement. This often requires courage and determination, as correcting a mistake can sometimes be more challenging than the initial task. The underlying message is that mistakes are inevitable, but they don't define a person. Instead, one's response to errors shapes character and capability. The lesson is that a well-rounded individual is not characterized by infallibility, but by the ability to navigate the imperfections of the human experience with grace, intelligence, and fortitude. Work like you don't need the money. Love like you've never been hurt. Dance like nobody's watching. Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige's advice is an ode to passion, resilience, and authenticity. It's a call to engage with various aspects of life wholeheartedly, without the common constraints that often hold us back. Work like you don't need the money encourages a perspective on work that is driven by passion and excellence, rather than financial necessity. This mindset promotes the idea that the best work comes from a place of intrinsic motivation rather than external pressure. Love like you've never been hurt suggests approaching relationships with an open heart, offering a full commitment without the reservations that past pains might impose. It's an encouragement to embrace vulnerability, which is necessary for deep, meaningful connections. Dance Like Nobody's Watching is about living with abandon and self-expression. It implies that one should not be inhibited by the fear of judgment and should instead find joy in the moment, free from self-consciousness. Together, these exhortations inspire living with sincerity and enthusiasm, regardless of past experiences or external expectations. They remind us to find joy and fulfillment in our actions, to approach life with a sense of renewal, and to express ourselves without inhibition.